Hello, disruptors, and welcome back to Mindset Mastery Moments with yours truly, Dr. Alisa Whyte, your number one mindset disruptor. And this evening, we have a beautiful, radiant sister queen. Her name is Miss Annie Grant. Welcome, Annie. We're so happy to have you.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. We welcome you to Mindset Mastery Moments, where we absolutely have to learn a little bit more. But before Annie tells us about herself, I want to let you know that she is a multifaceted universal being, I have to say. She's doing some amazing work here in the USA and around the world. She has defied societal norms by wearing several hats. And, you know, we are recording this episode in the month of March, where it is Women's History Month. And we're proud to have Annie as a wife, author, coach, entrepreneur, and minister of the gospel, devoted teacher, and the founder of Rise and Reign movement. She has an unwavering commitment to uplifting the kingdom of God and leading nations to purpose. You all know that we talk about purpose all the time on Mindset Mastery Moments. So we're going to dive with our friend and sister, Annie, tonight. Annie, again, it's wonderful to have you here on the show. But before we jump into our conversation, would you share a little bit more about who you are and why you do what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Whyte, for having me here. Again, it's such a pleasure. My name is Annie Grant. I like to describe myself as a multifaceted catalyst of transformation. And, and I say that because there's just so many things that I do, but it's all rooted in my foundation in God. So I am an author. I've written 6 books so far, and it just talks about my different walks in life. I am a speaker. I'm also a strategist. I am a coach. I am a wife. I am a lot of things to a lot of different people. It just depends on who you ask. And right. I think the reason, and also another big part of my identity is that I come from Cameroon in Central West Africa.
Cameroon! I know a lot of people are listening from, you guys go ahead and drop, if you're watching this or listening to it, wherever you are, drop the flag in the comments so we know you heard us, because we have a white audience in Cameroon too.
Oh, yeah. Shout out to my people in Cameroon.
Can you say something in a native language? Can you?
I actually can. So I do speak multiple languages. My first language was my first native language. And then I spoke French, donc je parle très bien français. And so shout out to my people in Cameroon. Another fun fact, I am married to a Jamaican. So I'm going to be
go on. Shout out to Jamaica. Leave a flag so we know.
Jamaica. So I do tap into a little bit of his roots there as well. But I think why I do what it is that I do, I think it's really my foundation in God. And a little bit of a backstory. I grew up in a Christian household, actually. And so there was a lot of values that got instilled in me from just being a Christian and also being an immigrant coming into the U.S. But, you know, when I went to college and things, and I was focused on the career, and I was focused on, you know, just the busyness in life. And I lost track a little bit on what my foundation was. And it wasn't until I graduated, I was about to graduate college, because I graduated early. So I don't know what I would consider about graduating, or almost I graduated already. But everything changed for me in my life. When I say everything that I thought was supposed to work the way it was supposed to work, the job after college, my dream job that I thought I was supposed to do, my friends, the house, like everything that I thought I worked so hard for in school just did not pan out that way after school. And I think the Lord had to remind me, he had to strip me of everything that I knew, everyone that I knew, so I could really focus on him. And that was a couple of years ago. And ever since, I realized what my purpose was. And so, fun fact, I was the commencement speaker for my graduating class. So I spoke in front of almost 7,000 people. But what a lot of people don't know is I had no intentions of doing that, right? Wow. Before that point, I was the president of a couple organizations. I spoke a little bit here and there, nothing, I don't know. It was just the roles that I was in. But when I graduated early, I wasn't really supposed to speak, I want to say, because that wasn't my graduating class anymore. Right. So I don't know. I thought randomly, I got this idea, I got the email. I was like, oh, okay, I'll sign up to do this whatever, why not? And so I signed up and they were like, oh, you actually missed the deadline. And I didn't care because I was like, oh, okay, it is what it is.
Hi.
And then I get an email back like a day or so later. And this is while I'm like literally getting to know God for myself, not the way that my parents taught me, not their God. I needed to know who God was for myself. So I'm in this transition period. And then I get the email and then they tell me that, oh, the deadline has been extended. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I submit my application, then I get the first, oh, you've been selected. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Then they're like, for the first round. And I'm like, what? There's multiple rounds in this.
Right.
So then I go to the first round and then they're like, oh, you made it to the second round. And I was like, oh my gosh, how many rounds? How many rounds is there? Then the third round, I had to actually verbally do my speech in person. And I remember they told me, you're the first person that didn't read off of your, yes, people had a paper or something that they read off of, and you're the first person that didn't stand still. And so in that moment, I didn't really realize what that meant because it was so natural to me. I'm a speaker. I love to speak. And so when I walked in there, I already knew what I was going to do. I knew what I was going to say. And so it came out natural. And they were like, oh, congratulations, you're doing this. I'm like, perfect, great. Mom and dad, I made it. And so it's now time for us to practice. And I'm like, why do I have to practice this? And I get on there and I see this huge stage and they have my picture and my face everywhere. And they're like, this is what it's going to look like. And I was like, what are you talking about right now? They're like, it's going to be about 7,000 people. And I couldn't believe it. And I say that story to say that was the first time I used my voice. And that was the first time that I knew that my voice was a weapon. And so after I got closer to God, I realized, and the reason I do what I do is because when the Lord gives you a gift, you don't bury those gifts. It might come natural to you, but to other people, you could be such a blessing if you just rise in your voice. And that's quite literally what it was. My voice was my gift. My voice was my purpose. My voice was something that was going to help other people. So I use my voice through my books. I use my voice through my speaking engagements, through my frameworks, in the ways that I teach people. And I like to also say that my purpose is to help other people find their purpose. So that's why.
Ooh, I love that. Listen, we are in absolute great company with having you here, and we're so glad. We had a few conversations before we started our recording, and I am excited to just meet this young woman. She's a powerhouse. She is absolutely just reminds me of so many of a version of myself. And so, and of course, in our own right, but I can tell you don't take no for an answer, Annie. And you don't have limitations. The sky is the limit. When I read her bio and she said to the world, I'm like, let's go. We got to have her. We got to have her. And I was excited about her episode to the point where she literally got a text from me myself today. I was like, are you going to be there today? And I never texted. I mean, I must have texted 3 or so guests in the entire time of this podcast before. So I was excited about your episode tonight. So let's dive in a little bit more about your work, Annie. It's so wonderful. Again, what you are doing in the world, in the space of helping people not only discover their purpose, but helping them identify and break free from self-imposed limitations. Mm-hmm. One of your core things that you talk about and you help people do, you mentioned about that negative self-talk and past failures, even fear of success can keep so many people stuck. Can you unpack that for us? And how can someone start to identify and overcome these mental barriers?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think in my experience, a lot of people don't understand that they're in a prison that they hold the key to. And I mean that to say a lot of people have a lot of self-imposed limitations. Like it's not even the things that you have been through in life. So I've heard Myron say, if you guys listen to Myron, he said something that some people let attributing factors become determining factors. Right?
Wait. Run that again, girl. You can't just leave us. We're trying to keep up. Say that again.
You cannot let attributing factors become determining factors. You just cannot let that happen in our lives. And I think we get into this place of sulking and lamentation and woe is me. And I've been through this in life and I've been through this in life. And we don't even understand that it starts to seep in our vocabulary, right? Like, I'm so tired. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, that's probably not for me. Oh, you know what? That's for people like that. You know, if I was a little bit different, I would do this, or I just don't have it in me right now. And I'm sorry, I'm going to get real biblical with you guys because this is a part of the way that I teach. The Bible says that so as a man thinketh, so is he. Right. So we don't even understand that the things that we say, it shapes our belief system and our mindset. So if you're already telling yourself that I can't do this, I'm drained, I'm so tired. I tell the people that I mentor all the time, you're not tired, your spirit is weak, right? Like you are not tired, your spirit is just weak, and you need to rise up in the spirit because there's no body without spirit. Right. So if you've just been operating and you've been actually putting yourself down, we give the devil too much credit. We give the devil too much credit for things we're not even responsible for. Because every time we open our mouth and we have like these little talks and I can't do it. It's too hard. Maybe next time, maybe tomorrow. How many times have you said maybe tomorrow? And then tomorrow comes and maybe the next day and then you just don't do it. So a lot of times I think that people just get stuck in the way that they speak to themselves and they create a reality that wasn't their reality to begin with, but it's a self reality that keeps them stagnant.
Yes.
People stay stagnant in their mind. Like your biggest battle is between you and yourself.
Ooh, come on.
The words that you say to yourself, that is your biggest battle. And the second thing is past failures, right? And instead of using our past failures to allow us to grow, I think what a lot of us do is we use it as an excuse to keep us complacent.
Oh, come on.
I've been through so much. So like, it makes sense, right? It makes sense that I'm not as successful as I should be. I come from a low income household. I am an immigrant. So it makes sense. I didn't have certain opportunities. So it makes more sense that I'm supposed to be in this position. But people use their past failures, but they're really just scared of success. We're not really scared to fail because failure is what's normal to most people.
Right.
That's what most people know. Yes. We are just scared of succeeding because what success will do is when you start thinking about success, what it will do is it will confront your stagnancy. It will confront
comfort zones. Absolutely.
Exactly. Ooh, and it's going to tell you that I can't make those excuses. It's going to challenge the excuses that you've often had. So a lot of people don't really they're not really scared to fail. They're scared to succeed because now the version that you have to be when you're successful is very different than the version of you who fails, because every day you get to wake up and do the same thing and you don't care and you don't mind because nobody's watching. I have all these excuses. All these things have happened to me. So it's okay for me to do that. But then when you actually start rising and you actually start succeeding, you have to be a different type of person to maintain success, right? So that's what I had to do in my life. And that's what I teach. Like I knew that the person that I wanted to be and the daily habits that I currently had, it did not align. And then I realized I actually have been so comfortable being mediocre. A lot of us are comfortable being mediocre. Right?
It's easier. It's easier. Yeah.
And what it also, I'm so sorry, I'm going to get so deep. What it also does is it opens up doors for envy. It opens up doors for you to look at the next person who is successful and say, you know what? And then you find holes in why the thing that they're doing is not even that great because you are not where you need to be, because you haven't risen up to where you want to be and where you need to be. So not only does that cost you financially and it costs you time, it opens up so many portals of insufficiency in your life where now you start to downplay other people and what it is that they are doing. So it affects family, it affects friendship, it affects finances, it affects your time, and it affects your faith.
Woo! Friend, family, faith, and time. And these are the priorities of being alive. Listen, you all know, I'm sure those that are in our community and people who listen and follow is like, why does she sound so much Like, this is what it is. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And so, what I am living, I don't have to come on here and repeat myself over and over again. You guys get people from all walks of life. And tonight, in the form, in the flesh of Annie Grant, fired up, telling you the things we talk about on here all the time in such a different, delightful way, because this is what's key. When you said, I always talk about the fear of success, because I'll tell you what, I don't have a fear of failure. I don't know that it exists in me, but what I confronted about 4 years ago was that I had a fear of success. And I'm being very transparent and vulnerable with our viewers and listeners. I literally do. It's like, when I thought about succeeding at becoming an author, when I thought about succeeding at being a coach, when I thought about succeeding, what if if a lot of people start knowing who I was, what would that look like? Would I have time to just watch TV in pajamas on a Friday? All these weird things. And when you look at it, right back to comfort zones, right? It's how many people am I going to have to answer to, or how many people will be looking towards me to come up every day? This is why people who are doing podcasting, they don't last, because to be great and have a good quality podcast, you have got to set up every day looking over bios. If you're doing, like, having a great podcast means I get pitched to be on people pitch me all the time. That's discipline to review these guests and go through and know that they're the right one. No one pays you for those hours, right? And then there's the other part of like, okay, I am supposed to be going to Cameroon, or everybody's going to Mexico right now, but because I've committed to recording 5 sessions this pop-up trip, I can't take advantage, because the discipline is that I've chosen to serve, unless I'm going to do it and record it from Mexico, but I'm still going to have to sit back. And so those are things that are shifting you out of comfort zones. And when you have to shift, that whole fear of success is what she's talking about. I live it. I still have what I say, shadows coming around, but I know what it is now. So let's talk about someone who right now is listening to us and they have those mental barriers. How do you help them identify them and then remove them?
I think one thing me and my husband did is, there's this, I don't know if this is a real thing or something that we made up, but we did this it's like a cross, and it was like a square, and in the first 2 boxes of the square is where we currently were, right? What our habits were, our finances, whatever it is. And in the bottom 2, it was mapping out the person we wanted to become. And once we did that, then we had to figure out what needs to change from point A to point B, right? And then we realized I changed my eating habits. I changed my structure, the time that I wake up. My morning routine was very, very important, because how you start the day is very important. So I would say that people need to first analyze what their current life looks like. Like, analyze and be honest. It's not just like a cookie cutter journal. I used to be, I'm just going to journal and I'm just going to write my devotionals, and it's cute, but then you really need to be honest. Every day, what is my day-to-day habits? Like, what do I do all day? Does it consist of 6 hours of Netflix, and maybe you're at work for 8 hours, and then that's probably the rest of your day, and then you go to sleep? You're not going to become successful in any right spending most of your, whatever the Bible says. I'm so sorry, I'm going to get back to it. He says, where your treasure lies, right? Where your treasure lies is where your heart is. So where is your treasure? That's what I tell my students. Where is your current treasure? What are the things that you currently value? And do those things align with the person that you want to become?
Come on. Who do I have to become to be the type of person that achieved the goals that I set forth to? Come on. She is sounding like an echo chamber right now. So I'm hearing my messages and I'm like, yes, remind me, fire me up.
I watched it a lot of times.
Oh my goodness.
And I think one of the things that are also important is accountability. That's heavy. It's heavy for me too, because I ran away from accountability. I did not want any form of accountability, not because I didn't like people, but again, it goes back to confronting confronting the person that you need to be. So for example, if I told my husband like, oh, I want to go to the gym 5 days a week, I know that I can't afford to not go to the gym 5 days a week, because now I have somebody else that's going to be like, what happened to 5 days a week, right? And so it got so deep. The lack of accountability for me got so deep that even commitments, and this is one thing I want to highlight, when you don't have accountability, you cannot commit. Whatever you cannot measure, you cannot be accountable for. Right. So, and I write about this in my book, Hope Has a Name, Activate the Power to Overcome and Thrive, because we often always stay in a mind of scarcity. I know this because I'm an immigrant. Your parents, your life, we just want to survive, right? How many, like, we just want to make it. As long as you made 6 figures, you made it. You have a decent job, you've made it.
You have a home and you have a car and you can pay your bills and helps a couple people out. That is the immigrant's dream.
That's exactly. But we don't get to the place of thriving and abundance.
Come on.
We are just okay with the bare minimum. We're okay with just making it.
Because for Pete's sake, our family didn't have a car. They'd never own a home. These things didn't exist. We had like 5 dresses we wore in vacation. You know what I'm saying? And we had 2 pairs of shoes, one for church on Sundays and then one for school, and a set of flip-flops, right? So the fact that I have a closet of shoes is just like, I'm living the dream. Like, this is my ancestors' wildest dream. You see what I'm saying? But
I absolutely,
for God's sake, I don't want my ancestors' wildest dream anymore. It's not enough. Go bigger.
I want my own dream.
Yes.
And when we stay in that space, and we don't want to actually commit to bigger, because bigger is scarier. But I've learned to not let other people's ignorance or lack of experience in something stop me from going for it. So my lack of commitment came from being scared of wanting to do bigger and like committing to doing bigger, because my family, for example, my mom wanted me, it's so simple, but it goes so deep. And I know this is going to help someone. She wanted me to take my little sister, commit to one day where I'm picking up my little sister and dropping her off to her dance program. And to a lot of people, that's like, it's regular things. It's one day a week. What's the big deal? Right. The big deal for me was every single Wednesday, no matter what, I had to do this, which means if I wanted to sleep on Wednesday at 5 p.m., that was not happening. If I wanted to, I don't know. I didn't
watch TV, go for a run.
Exactly. Right. And it was only for like 2 months, but for some reason I just couldn't do it. And through therapy and learning myself, and I've discovered that I didn't just stop there. Right. The lack of commitment didn't stop there. And I realized I didn't want the commitment because I didn't want the accountability. I didn't want the accountability because it will feel too real.
I want it will be a level of discipline that's required for the commitment that you make. And this is why when I go out on social media and say, or I say in front of my team that we're building a $2 billion network, when I open my mouth, they're all looking at me like, she must have lost her cotton picking mind. And not only, but how? Look, really, girl, we ain't even got $2. What are you talking about for this mission? But when I say that, I am forever accountable. So the level of discipline that I have to put behind every decision I make, every move I make, is what makes us, quote unquote, puts us in a position of fear. And denial and refusal, as you said.
Denial is a big
right.
I'm already
so articulate. You say to not commit, and it's funny because Dr. Kareem and I were just having this conversation as he's working on one of his biggest speeches ever, and that's what he came down to. He's like, you can have education, you can have money, you can have even discipline. But without commitment and accountability, you will not go anywhere.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I learned that the hard way. So how people combat this after you've analyzed and figured out what that is, for me, it was actually getting that accountability. Like for the gym,
Yes.
I wasn't just, oh, I'll go 5 days a week. I got a trainer. I didn't get any trainer. And this, I'm not advising anybody to get an expensive trainer. But for me, I knew if I'm putting this, like, where is my value right now? This is costing me this much. I am getting up and I'm going. Because before I had trainers, I had my husband, I had friends, and I'm like, no, I want a completely random person.
Listen to your little excuses.
Exactly. That okay, girl, that's fine. It's raining outside. Like, we don't need to go to
Yeah, but we love Annie so much. I don't want to be on bad terms with her. So let me just pressure her a little bit. But your trainer, you're paying him
I
to
care.
kick your bottom. So there you go.
She did not care. She said, Annie, this is what we're doing. And it taught me about punctuality. Like, you're not coming 5 minutes late. Like, the session is canceled. And so it was, oh, yes. Oh, and that's exactly what I needed. And I knew I needed that. And I needed to step in it. There's no games. If the person that I want to be wakes up at this time and gets to this place on time.
Come on.
Right? Like, I can't feel bad for myself. I can't say it's snowing, so I'm not going to just go outside and I'm not going to move at all. Like, yeah, it's right. Like, what does that have to do with anything, right? It doesn't. You can't wallow in self-pity. And that's what I've learned. You just cannot wallow in self-pity. So you have to make the decision after you've analyzed, like, I'm going to actually have actionable items that are measurable. I needed metrics. If you don't have metrics and mentors, metrics and mentors.
Metrics, mentors. Yes, I love that.
Mentors. Because I invested into a mentorship, and it's cost me and my husband almost half of our savings at the time, but we needed to do it. Right. And we needed accountability, and we needed to get to this place where I'm like, you have a gift, you have things to do, but the person that you want to become, she's not worried about $10,000. She's not worried about 50. Like, right, don't think in the now. And I think that's where we get stuck.
Right.
This is where you are right now. So to even think that much bigger, it's like, maybe I'll start small. And I love this in my cohort when people are like, I'm just in this journey, and it's a journey, and I'm starting my journey, and I'm like, it sounds cute and it sounds so cute, but that's just justifying your excuses.
That's a comfort zone.
Exactly.
That's you clinging to all the comfort you can find. It's a journey. It's not a race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And so that gives you room for not committing and being accountable. I love it. It's almost like I'm hearing you say you're not going to develop discipline where you're not first committed, have accountability. That's when the discipline comes.
Yes.
It's like it's becoming a coined thing between us in this conversation that I believe we can walk away from this segment saying, yeah, first you commit, you get clear about what you want, you go ahead and you commit, and then you get accountability for your commitments.
Yep.
And then you can create discipline around it. Because when I hear you talk about, okay, I want to be in a certain fit, I want to be in a certain health regimen, I want to be the type of person that when I show up this way. You were like, okay, and I want to be this way by this time, and I want to have this quality of a workout routine and eating schedule or whatever. Then you went and got the accountability and the mentorship that you needed to do those things. And now you're developing discipline because 5 minutes late, you canceled.
Oh, yes.
You already paid, but
canceled.
They don't care. It was 5 minutes ago. Bye.
Yes. I was like, I was finding parking. She said, you should have been finding parking 5 minutes
ago.
I was like, ooh.
How about that? And so I think about that also as a business model, because as an entrepreneur, how many times do we let people just run all over us? Call you last minute and say, a coaching client, hey, my car, I got a flat tire, so can we reschedule your coaching? Well, you should have rescheduled that 3 hours ago.
When the car broke down.
You missed this session. We'll see you next week. Now you're short a session off of the 10 that we got that you paid for. And it's not on me. And then you hold to that. So I love that. I love that. You have this three framework that you talk about, which stands for authority, authorship, and advancement. Could you give us an overview of each of those pillars and why you believe it's pivotal for transformation?
Absolutely. So I do teach people how to become self-published authors. So it was actually developed first for my authorship program, but I use it in my transformative strategic meetings and stuff with people as well. So I'll start with authorship. When it comes to authorship, I believe that everybody has the ability to rewrite their story.
Come on.
And it goes back to these things were just attributing factors. Now I get to decide what I want to do moving forward. So first, when you actually have authorship, and if you're writing a book, you need to first write your book so then you become an author. So authorship is being able to first identify your story and rewrite it. And then you have authority. Authority is so keen because once you are bold enough in your story, because if I am the author of this book, best believe that I know everything in this book, right? If I wrote you something and I put you an article, a book, whatever it is, then you best believe that I know everything in it. So it gives you a different level of authority to now walk into different rooms and be in different spaces. And that's when you start to create transformation. After authority, you have advancement. You can't have advancement if you don't have authority. You can't move far if you don't have confidence. So part of authority is building that boldness. And then advancement is now that you have this authority, where are you going to, where will you lead? Whose shepherd will you become? Right? Whose shepherd will you become? How do you monetize the things that you've been through? How do you monetize your message? Right. So with the book program or with the authorship program, I first teach people how to write their books. After they write their books, they build authority because now you're an author. Now you've leveraged your expertise. And now how do you advance that? How do you make your book work for you? How do you make your story work for you? I don't believe in people bearing talents, and I don't believe that people don't have talents at all. So we help them find, and in the program, I help you find what is that gift? What is that talent? What is it? And how do you rewrite it in a way that positions you as a leader?
Oh, I love that. Oh, so profound. So I want to dive a little bit because I was very fascinated about your three pillars. I had quite a few questions. I think I mentioned you after. Why is ownership so crucial?
Because whatever you don't...
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Authorship. I know what you meant.
When it comes to authority, when you're thinking about, when you said authority, why is the ownership piece of authority so important?
Absolutely. I'm going to go back to my foundation, which is the Word of God. I think when you don't identify your identity, the world will.
Woo, they'll tell you who to be real fast.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That's why that ownership is so important, because we live in a world of people don't like delayed gratification, and we take validation from everybody else but God. So you are validated by what you do. You're validated by your career, maybe who you're married to, your finances, so many other things. But when you take ownership of this is my life, this is what I want it to look like, you regain power.
Wow. I love that. And when it comes to authorship, you often emphasize rewriting your story. I heard you say that a couple of times. How do we release old narratives that no longer serve us and embrace a new identity? And of course, you're going to tell us the identity in Christ. And I align with that as well.
I think this is my favorite question so far because a lot of people ask me this question, how do I do this? And I think you replace it. The way that if you don't replace it, then you will always abide in your old identity. If you don't create new ones, just like habits, if you don't create new ones, you will always have your old habits.
Yes.
Right. So for me personally, I think if I didn't recreate this version of myself and rewrite what I wanted, like from last year to this year, like this is what I want this person to look like. If I didn't recreate that, I would continuously live in the shadows of that person. Whether it's guilt, whether it's trauma, whether it's disappointment, you need to rewrite your own story in that sense by creating new ones. You were hurt before. That's not your story now.
Come on.
That's not your story.
You said it earlier for Myron Golden.
Attributing factors are not determining
Feminine factors, come on, that right there.
Create
So
new
many of
ones.
us, and that is the entire concept of getting stuck. Like, just seriously, like, just temporary. Like, I mean, you had an argument, or you were in really bad traffic, but you came into the office and you're just upset of that. That was just a contributing factor. How did that just make your day? How are you doing? I'm having a rough day. Traffic was horrible this morning. Honey, it's 1:30 p.m.
You already had lunch.
Like, how do you even remember?
Oh, can I tell you though? Can I tell you what I remember? So in a chapter of my book, I talk about the weight of unspoken words.
Oh, girl, come on, talk to us.
The reason people hold on to something that was supposed to be super, it's easy, it happened earlier, why am I still hurt by it, is because they have so many unspoken words to other things that's happened. And what we do is we have so many open cycles. There's also the law of open cycles I talk about. And open cycles is you moved past the situation, but you never got over the situation.
Right.
And what happens is it begins to pile up every time it piles up. And what can I tell you about things that are not good? But let's talk about food, for example. When you pile up food and it's not good, what happens? It rots.
Sours and it's
But what happens after it rots? It begins to taint everything, the stench of everything else around it. With our mind, right? If we have all these experiences and the things that we've been through, and we allow it to pile up, and we have that weight of unspoken words, so then when other things come up and they keep coming, it's rotting every other part of our mind. So they're not just reacting to, bad traffic. It's like, okay, last time there was bad traffic, and because of that, I never spoke up about it. And this person said this to me before that, and then, so you're not even feeling, they don't live in the present. They're always living in the past. And the past is had unspoken words.
My goodness. Which one of your books?
Hope Has a Name.
Hope Has a Name. Listen, I have to get every last one of your books. Just the title was like, ooh, wow. And I'm like, it's like you just want to be like, what's in here? What's in there? What's in there? So you guys have to check it out. We'll tell you more about it. Let's talk a little bit about fate and mindset, right? I love that you talk both. I do as well. And so it's one of my favorite things to put together, because you started off this episode with what I tell everyone, why I focus on mindset the way I do and build a podcast and a movement around it. Because as a man or woman, child, boy, girl, think it, so is he, right? So in your work, you highlight that fate and mindset as two sides of the same coin for lasting transformation. Why is having a solid faith foundation so crucial to creating that mental resilience that we need to live a life of purpose?
Absolutely. I think it's because if you don't have a greater sense of purpose, or if you don't have a greater sense of belief, then whatever you're trying to do that is greater than you, you will always fail.
Wow.
Because it's now greater than you. And I mean that to say is, if you have a goal, right, and that goal is super big, and that's, everybody should be having big goals, but you don't believe in anything that's greater than you, how are you going to accomplish this big goal?
Right.
Faith, it without faith, and even people who are not, Christians and stuff, like, they believe in something, right? You have to believe in it, because your belief shapes your mindset.
Yes.
Like it shapes what it is that you become, how you become what it is. If you don't believe you can do something, you're not going to do it.
You can't, right?
You will practice. You will have the credentials. You could do, like, if you go into something not believing that you can do it, you won't. And I learned this also I'm blessed to have my husband in my life, and to be married and stuff. And I learned the love of God sometimes through the person that I'm married to, because the certain mindset that he has, right? There's a certain component of like resilience. And I always wondered why. Like we will be in any situation. I'm telling you, Dr. Whyte, sometimes it's frustrating. And there's a level of stillness in this man. Ooh. There's a level of like, oh, it'll be fine. And I'm like, I'm tired. No, you're not. But I'm like, yes, I am. And I ran my first 5K last year, and I was not a runner. I didn't really train much. This is when I understood that faith and mindset are together. I told myself, oh, I wanted to do it, but just like the speech, I didn't really know that I would be doing it nonstop. I thought I could just also walk it. Like, I don't know. So my husband comes and he says that he's going to be my pacer. I'm like, okay, cool. He's like, oh, but we're running the whole time. And I laughed so hard because I was like, I am not running the whole time. He's like, yes, you can. I'm like, no, like I'm not a runner. I'm not saying I can't run, but I'm not a runner.
That's not who I believe myself to be.
No, I don't think so.
But guess what? If a 10-foot bear was chasing you.
Oh, I'd be, but see, even that.
Isn't it weird? And that's what I always say. That is the conversation I have with myself and my limitations that I create, my self-imposed limitations. It's like, I say I'm not a runner too. And then I'm like, but there's a bear chasing me. I guess I could be a runner. So the only reason I'm not a runner is because I don't want to be a runner. Oh, got it.
And that's not your treasure.
Ooh, mic drop. That's not what my heart is.
That's not where your heart is. And so I developed this mindset, or I understood it well when my husband said, it was 2 days before the event. He said, you have to practice, Annie. I was like, I already told you I'm not running the entire time. I can walk. At this point, I was walking 3 miles every day. So I'm like, I'm just going to walk it. It's my first one, complacency. Like, it's my first one. It's a journey. You don't need to have a goal. He's like, Annie, I need you to have a time. Like, what time are you going to go for? And I'm like, I don't have a time that I'm going to go for. I'm going to go to finish. That's my goal, to finish. And we practice. And when we were practicing, that was the first time I feel like in my life, because I did track in high school, but I wasn't a long distance. I was a sprinter. So after less than 2 minutes, I was done. And so this is the first time we went practicing 2 days before. He said, you can do it. You can do it. So I'm running. He's like, don't stop. And I ran 3 miles without stopping. No practice, no. And he said, I told you, everything's in your mind. And he didn't tell me anytime I hit a mile, because then I probably would have stopped.
You stopped me like, oh, I did a mile.
So he's like, you half a mile left. We were already 2 miles in. So it's the perception that we create, right? So if you have faith in something that's real, and if you have faith in God, then your mindset is already set up to succeed, because the Bible says that you shall grow an eagle's wings. You will run and not grow weary. Yeah. No, not grow weary, and then you will walk and not be faint.
Yeah.
Right. So understanding that who has power over you, understanding who you have faith in is so important to your mindset, because it can turn, I can't do it till I did it in less than 40 minutes for the first time. And it's the mindset. My mom had surgery. She's been in the hospital for the past 2 years, getting surgeries back to back. And I am telling you, my family did not understand why I was so relaxed. Like, it got to a point sometimes where they were like,
it was annoying.
Like, yeah, like, you don't care, like, what's going on, like, you're not moved. I would go to the hospital and I'll get my makeup done, and I have everything's done as I'm walking in there. They're like, do you not know that your mother is going into surgery? I was like, oh no, because the Lord is about to do a thing.
I go into surgery like that. There's comments about, how is she so happy after everything she's gone through? Because I'm not dying, I'm getting better. That's why I'm here.
And even if everything happens according to the glory of God, I
don't run this. I'm a contributor. I get to play along, or I can drag along. Go pick one. Exactly. I'm just gonna play because I want to have fun in this thing called life.
Exactly. And if you can't change it, if I can't change it, I can't stress it.
Come on now. Like, if I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, job over, job done.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm only here to contribute to what his will and purpose is.
Exactly.
And once I understand that I'm a contributor, and every time I am stressed or anxious, it's because I'm trying to take charge of a role that's not mine.
That has nothing to do with you. Absolutely.
It's like, oh my goodness. Even listen, if you're listening to us and you're like, that's easy to say because your bills are paid. Well, here, let me ask you, if you don't have the money to pay your bills and you're going to work every day and you got more month than you've got money, you still want to sit here and stress about it like it's your responsibility because it was this way last month. Remember? And what happened? It got paid. So obviously, this is not about you getting up every day and working. You want to take responsibility to be stressed. He always provides. Do what you're supposed to do. And follow that formula we told you guys about earlier that Annie said. She said, commit with a clear, concise vision, get accountability going, make it measurable, and then get that mentorship that you need. Change something. And that's all you really are responsible for. And it's changing the way you think, knowing exactly who you believe in, know who holds the keys to the bimmer, Bimmer. Because it ain't you. You know what? You know, the power company decides when to turn off our lights, right? If we don't pay our bill. Well, guess what? You don't turn off the lights on your life unless you try to pull a gun. And, you know, I asked those people who tried to commit suicide and it didn't work either. They learn real quick. Wait a minute. I thought I died. Why am I still alive? Because you don't have the keys, okay, to your light out. You didn't have the key to your lights on either. So chill out, relax, play your part, and let God do his thing. Because that's where that is such, this is why I was fascinated with your concept of faith and mindset. There is no, the setting of the mind is in your belief system. So who or what are you believing? Who are you reporting to? Who are you reporting to? Because if you're not reporting to the source, honey, you're plugged into the wrong place.
Come on.
You never see a 3-pound outlet in a 2-hole receptor. Like, it doesn't fit, honey. It doesn't. So why you keep trying to poke stuff places, poking your nose? And I mean, I'm over exaggerating because someone or a few people are listening to us and they're like, it's easy for you, you know, cute little immigrant girls who are very educated and successful and got husbands and relationships and know a lot, has a great network. Honey, there was a time no one knew who we were.
Come on.
And our accent was so thick, they told us we didn't qualify for things. We didn't care. We came anyway. And we showed up because we had a report. We realized that we just had to show up.
Yep.
We were just signing in for duty. Hey, God, it's me, Alisa, showing up again.
Coming back again.
I don't feel like it, but I know you said, so my faith is, and that sets my mind. And then my will is following where my mind goes because my faith is in the one who created me, the source. And then behind that is my faith. My mind setting in faith, and then behind that is my will, so my body follows, and then all these things. My favorite verse since I was a kid, and I'm going to share with y'all, if y'all never heard it on podcast, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. That's my faith. That's how my mind gets set. Through all the things you guys have heard me talk about, it's because first is my faith. And every time I'm weak and I'm frizzled or frazzled, even if I could tell y'all just yesterday, I was like, I'm tired. I can't, my physical body. And I'm like, why is it so important that you're tired? Aren't you like always tired somehow? So what is so special about this moment? Yeah, because you tell yourself that all the things you got to get done the next few days is your accountability, but it's not. You're just a caretaker, boo-boo. And be careful how you play around because that job, that assignment can get lifted off you since you're tired and it can be given and reassigned to someone else. Y'all don't let me start preaching here.
Come on.
There is no lack in the kingdom of God to give these assignments. So don't play and act like you're the last best thing to slice. But if you don't want to get on this microphone, somebody will. Mindset Mastery Moments will go on without you. It would just be called something else.
Come on. Somebody else is going to get that bishop ring and they will do what David did with King Saul. They're going to take it. They will take it. And I really like what you said, Dr. Alisa, because you said who do you report to? And it reminds me in the Bible in Genesis, and everybody's probably familiar with this, when, Adam ate the fruit and Eve ate the fruit. But then one of the first few questions that the Lord asked was, Adam, where are you? And then he said, I am hiding because I am naked. And then the Lord's response was, who told you? And that's faith and mindset, because who is speaking to you? If it's not edifying you, it's destroying you. Right?
Yes.
If it's not something that's uplifting you when it comes to your mindset and the things that you believe in, if it's not uplifting you, like the thought of, I can't do this, is not coming from God. Who told you? Who is speaking to you? Right. The thought of, this is too hard, it's not from God. The thought of, yeah, it's easy for you guys to say, but we had to start at a certain point.
What do you have in your hands right now?
We were comfortable getting back up. We didn't mind. And when you a lot of people are also scared to put themselves in a line of scrutiny, because maybe you don't like, you know what, my mindset is skewed because of things I've been through and the way I look and this and this and that, and society is like this. And it's like, it doesn't matter. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. You have to.
You're looking in the wrong direction, honey. Look up.
Exactly.
Look up.
Get to show up. Now, the only difference between you and I is what I do and what you don't do.
Come on.
It's not, you're known. And I used to make the same. Remember when I told you, then you start making excuses and then you start down.
I don't know anybody who wants to listen to me in my accent.
Oh, you know what? I speak 4 different languages. So accent was a very big deal. And then this is the same girl that wrote 6 books. How did that happen? Because you need to walk in your purpose, because you need to walk in the gift that God's given you. But it's so hard for people to have the right mindset. You know why? One of the biggest reasons people don't have the right mindset is because they don't have the right gift. They're not walking in their gift.
They're imitating someone.
Exactly.
Imitation we don't realize it's something in the world where you're constantly bombarded by images and screens of someone else, and guys, they're pretending to be something too. That's not them. First of all, okay, that is an image that a group of people have decided they want to project to the world. It's a projection, and you are obtaining and taking on projection and not focusing. This is why there's I believe so wildly in reflection, in silence, in sabbaticals, whatever that looks like. And sometimes people think sabbaticals like, okay, so you think I can afford to take 5 days off work and go on no, I did not tell you to go climb Mount Kilimanjaro or go to the Grand Canyon here in Arizona. What I'm saying to you is take a time out from the noise. What has your ear time and your sight and your vision and your senses? It's stimulating you and impacting your thoughts, which becomes a mindset for you. So you have to unplug and plug in. Again, I'm talking about with the source, and be still and know that I am God is a reason.
God.
Be still and know that I'm God. And seriously, if you're in a spot right now, somebody's listening and you're just trying to figure everything out. You want to figure it out right now. And you think that's being proactive. And while that may seem proactive, it's actually a little bit more of a scarcity mindset, because you're not operating in faith. So if you be still and let that settle and turn in and tune into the source, give him your ear time, give him your sight and your vision, and just let it come over you. It will be revealed, because the answers, that's where I tell people, God does not come yelling and screaming at us. His voice is the Holy Spirit, and we're going deep today. The Holy Spirit speaks very gently. So if you want to have noise playing, the TV, the radio, your iPhone, and a conversation with your grandma and your sister in the background, honey, you cannot hear the one who made you. And you're not welcoming his presence to guide you, and you need it. Don't try to figure things. Again, you are a part of his plan. He's not a part of yours. If you're doing it that way, you're going backwards. Flip the script.
That's so true, because we do often doubt it. Even if we get exposed to it, right? We often doubt and question the things that we're actually supposed to do in our faith, especially when things, start to, well, I thought I was supposed to do this, and it's flipping a little bit, and it's not looking the same way. But doubt is the friend of complacency. Ooh. And that's the enemy of progress and success.
That's deep. Ooh, doubt is the friend of Complacency. Oh, I'm gonna stick with that. That's in my spirit right now.
Doubt is the friend
of complacency. It is. It gives you all the reason you need to be complacent and not get out of your comfort zone. Let's talk about leadership a little bit. In our life. You're a coach, you're an entrepreneur, you're a minister. Obviously, leadership is a natural big theme in your own life. Let's talk about becoming the leader of your own life. What does that look like practically? Hey guys, thank you so much, Disruptors, for listening to part 1. We talked about mindset and faith and how to find and connect with your purpose and just walking it in authenticity. And Annie, in part 2, we dive into entrepreneurship. What can the entrepreneurs hear from you?
I think entrepreneurship will learn the essence of business. They will learn the essence of leadership and how you need capacity and trust and delegation and all the fun stuff when it comes to leadership. I can't tell you too much because I want you to tune in.
Yep, she gave us the fire and she gave us the formula. So listen, guys, I don't know what we're calling this episode, but we definitely know that you're going to be transformed. You're going to rise and you're going to reign. Okay, guys, see you over. Jump into the second episode. Bye now.
Be there. Bye.